the whole battle in Ukraine. Now we've got a apparent sabotage by Ukrainians in Crimea. You know, the Crimean Peninsula was seized by the Russians back in 2014, but you know, it's still filled with the Ukrainians. And we're still trying to figure out exactly what happened, but it looks like an airfield and a bunch of munitions and at least a half a dozen planes, fighter jets, just, you know, went up in smoke. And whether this is whether this was a long-range missile, you know, some of the ordnance that has been provided to Ukraine by the United States or some of the European countries, that seems unlikely now. Increasingly, it looks like this was a homegrown sabotage effort, which is pretty amazing. But the big news, Lucian Truscott IV writing about this over at Salon.com. The article is titled "Vladimir Putin's War in Ukraine is about to get a whole lot more difficult," and he's drawing parallels to Hitler's attempted invasion of Moscow. You know, he got about as far as Stalingrad, if I recall correctly. And what happened? This was Operation Barbarossa. He started in the June of 1941, and by the end of July, he was. This was under Field Marshal Ritter von Lieb, and he was only 60 miles from Leningrad, which is where they were trying to go. And then winter came, and you know, they had taken Kyiv, and by October they had taken Kharkiv, and then began the siege, and it lasted 800 days. And the Nazis had two big problems. The first was they were not fighting on their own land. They were fighting Russians on Russian territory. And so, you know, all around them, they had Russians who were sabotaging them and attacking them. But the other was that winter came, and those winters in that part of the world are brutal. Just brutal. I mean, they're like Wyoming and Montana winters. Just, you know, wild winds and huge flat lands, and the early part of the winter is mud season like crazy, and the early part of spring is mud season, and this is going to be a real tough one for Putin. Reuters is recently reporting that U.S. defense intelligence officials believe that Russia is losing, quote, hundreds of casualties a day in Ukraine, and they have severely depleted their supply of lieutenants and captains, and their chain of command is struggling. Dara Massacat, a senior policy researcher on Russia at the RAND Corporation, says that the mass casualty events that the Russian military has not coped with since World War II, being sent in unprepared for the Kremlin's war of choice, the lies, the war crimes, the atrocities. This is damage that's going to ricochet inside the Russian military. It already is. Morale is down. They're using their equivalent of kind of the Carlyle Group or the Blackwater Group, their own private mercenary groups. Putin's in a world of hurt right now.